After suddenly dying in the middle of the night while looking after my grandchild, I found I'd been reborn. Before me, Mark Johnson was loudly accusing me of blind jealousy, while I was tearfully demanding a divorce. All because of his meager monthly paycheck, half of which he had to give to support his childhood sweetheart, Tiffany Bell. Tiffany lived in a nice 3-bedroom apartment, her clothes and jewelry constantly changing, always as proud as a swan. As for me, my hands were calloused from years of piecework sewing, my skin sallow from hawking goods at the market. Anyone who didn't know better would think I'd escaped some disaster. I couldn't stand this life of hardship and poverty anymore. Mark stormed out, slamming the door. I turned to pack my bags, determined to head up north. After suddenly dying in the middle of the night while looking after my grandchild, I found I'd been reborn. Before me, Mark Johnson was loudly accusing me of blind jealousy, while I was tearfully demanding a divorce. All because of his meager monthly paycheck, half of which he had to give to support his childhood sweetheart, Tiffany Bell. Tiffany lived in a nice 3-bedroom apartment, her clothes and jewelry constantly changing, always as proud as a swan. As for me, my hands were calloused from years of piecework sewing, my skin sallow from hawking goods at the market. Anyone who didn't know better would think I'd escaped some disaster. I couldn't stand this life of hardship and poverty anymore. Mark stormed out, slamming the door. I turned to pack my bags, determined to head up north. Suddenly, my head spun, and the weight in my arms lightened considerably. Startled, I looked down. A moment ago, I was holding my grandchild. Now, only a flimsy piece of paper was in my hand. I had returned to 1985, right at the moment I discovered my husband, Mark Johnson, had rented an apartment for his divorced ex-girlfriend. The paper I held was the lease agreement. My hand tightened, crumpling the contract. At that moment, Mark was snoring soundly in bed. The contract clearly stated, rent for a 3-bedroom apartment, the entire year's rent paid in one lump sum. I looked up at the cramped, drafty attic apartment we'd lived in for over 10 years. It leaked when it rained, drafts blew in when it was windy, and I suffered from chronic joint pain from the cold. I once couldn't bear it and suggested using our savings to get a better place. Mark would always look at me with a pained expression and say, "Sarah, when did you get so soft? If you're already worrying about housing, how will we manage when we have kids?" Back then, I was overjoyed, thinking he was planning to have children with me. I never considered that our savings were enough to buy a decent place, that it wouldn't have been a burden. I also forgot, someone who truly loves you wouldn't let you suffer. In my previous life, when I found that contract, rage consumed me. I couldn't stand a lifetime of hard work only to end up in a leaky attic, while Mark generously provided Tiffany with a 3-bedroom apartment. Desperate, I demanded a divorce. Mark immediately played on my weakness, my soft heart. He pushed Tiffany's young son in front of me, his face a mask of righteousness. "Could you really watch her and her son struggle? You've always had a soft spot for kids. It's your good heart that made me want to help them. I never expected you to be so jealous. I'm truly disappointed in you, Sarah." He knew I had difficulty conceiving due to overwork and thus cherished the neighborhood children. Looking at that thin little boy then, my heart did soften. But from then on, Mark and Tiffany became increasingly brazen. At first, it was praising my cooking and asking me to make packed lunches for the boy. Then it was sewing his clothes. Until I heard the child call Mark Dad. Mark even declared, "Kids without fathers get bullied. If you're going to help, help all the way." Gradually, the neighbors started thinking Mark was Tiffany's new husband, and I was just the nanny he'd hired to look after them. Many even envied Tiffany's good fortune. A sudden cold gust made me shiver and huddle. The newspaper taped to the wall to block the wind was torn, letting in a relentless draft. I suddenly made up my mind. If I've been given a second chance, I absolutely will not repeat my mistakes. Thinking this, I kicked Mark hard and threw the contract in his furious face. Divorce. Seeing the contract, Mark sobered up instantly, sitting bolt upright. Not a shred of shame, only anger. "Who let you touch my things?" Our household had a rule. Husband's and wife's things were kept separate. He had his own box for his belongings, and so did I. I thought it was his way of being considerate, not wanting to tire me, and felt it was sweet, so I paid it no mind. Who knew it was just a way to hide his secrets? I laughed coldly. "You didn't put it away properly. Who's to blame?" Only then did Mark remember. The previous day, Tiffany's apartment had a power outage, and he'd opened his box to find a light bulb, forgetting to put it back. His face stiffened for a moment, but he still tried to bluster. "You're demanding a divorce over such a trivial thing? Don't you know how hard life is for her and her son?" I genuinely found it laughable. Tiffany having a hard life? Her ex-husband begged her daily to take him back, showering her with gifts, snacks, and clothes. She proclaimed herself a modern woman, not dependent on family. Mark then tried to give Tiffany the sewing job I had worked so hard to secure. When I questioned him, he just said, You have me to support you at home. She's not like you. She's independent. And just like that, I was labeled dependent. But it was me who woke up early to sell vegetables at the market, sewed for hire in the afternoon, and went to pick up goods in the evening. I covered most of the household expenses. Tiffany, on the other hand, didn't value the job, looking down on being an assistant. With no experience, she demanded a management position. She ended up getting fired, and the workshop wouldn't take me back either. I didn't want to argue with Mark anymore. I'd wasted half my life arguing with him. I knew his personality. He only knew how to blame others. I turned to pack my clothes. Seeing I was serious, he flew into a rage and grabbed my arm. You were the one who shamelessly threw yourself at me all those years ago. Now you want a divorce over some petty issue? Are you playing hard to get? That's right. Years ago, I was coming off a late shift when some creeps cornered me at the alley entrance. Mark appeared, saved me, and walked me home. I was smitten. When I found out he wasn't seeing anyone, I actively pursued him, bringing him packed lunches every day until he agreed to marry me. But I only learned later that the day before he agreed to marry me, Tiffany had just gotten married. I was just his second choice when he was disappointed. Less than 2 years after we married, Tiffany showed up with her child, crying about being abused by her ex-husband. Mark's old feelings resurfaced, and he began supporting them in a separate apartment. Then, gradually, he turned me into a servant for the three of them. Even when I had our child, his attitude made our own son think I was just the nanny, not as glamorous as Tiffany. I toiled my whole life, only to die silently in the night, all because Mark pushed me to this breaking point. Seeing my silence, Mark softened his tone, trying to embrace me. I took a deep breath and pulled out the divorce papers I'd kept hidden in my purse for a long time. Ever since Tiffany reappeared, I'd had them ready, just never had the courage to present them. When Mark saw I prepared them in advance, his face fell. You're not demanding a divorce because of the apartment lease. You've been planning this all along. Fine. If you're so determined, I won't hold you back. With that, he signed his name and stormed out, slamming the door. I clutched the divorce papers, not daring to let go. It was like a passport to freedom. In my past life, I prepared divorce papers but never dared to speak up because I didn't have a dime to my name. All my money went into buying things for the house: a refrigerator, appliances, a stereo system, household goods. Mark even scolded me for being a spendthrift. But in reality, it was because he saw other people had them and demanded them too. That's why he insisted I hand over my entire monthly salary, saying it was to help me save. He wasn't worried, because without money, I wouldn't dare to actually divorce him. And indeed, that's what bound me then. I didn't dare start over. But now, even though I still had no money, I had courage. That afternoon, I contacted neighbors and a used goods dealer, selling off everything I had painstakingly acquired. Since he'd criticized me for buying things indiscriminately, I wasn't going to leave anything for Mark to find fault with. Sold it all. Sarah, I know you don't like me, but you can't. The child immediately ran over, wailing for his mother, as if she were on her deathbed. I still hadn't figured out what was happening when Mark angrily pulled me back and slapped me across the face. I clutched my cheek, incredulous. He, too, froze, staring at his hand for a few seconds. Though he'd said many harsh things before, he'd never laid a hand on me. I let out a cold laugh. Good. Very good. I grabbed my suitcase and started to leave. Mark lunged again, grabbing me tightly. We've known each other for over 10 years. Are you really leaving? Now apologize to Tiffany. I thought you were a reasonable person, but you're just like those shrewish women at the market, hitting a child, hitting an adult. Sarah, I'm truly disappointed in you. I looked at his furious expression, disgusted by his unmet expectations. He still wouldn't stop. You're demanding a divorce over a minor disagreement? How could any family survive if everyone acted like you? Now, if you bow your head and apologize to Tiffany, buy the kids some candy, we won't hold it against you. Otherwise, if you can't make it on your own out there, don't you dare come crawling back to me. Mark's angry tirade not only made me sick to look at him, but also sick to hear. His voice grew louder, drawing a crowd of onlookers. Their hushed whispers pricked my ears like needles. Has the Johnson's wife lost it? Why demand a divorce? Mark treats her so well. Yeah. Where else would you find a man like Mark who both earns money and takes care of his family? Hearing these flattering words, Mark visibly preened, more convinced than ever that I was just putting on a show and wouldn't dare to actually leave. In my past life, it was precisely because of this facade that whenever I even hinted at divorce, a whole crowd would rush to persuade me otherwise. They made me doubt myself. Was the terrible man I saw even real? I set my suitcase down and looked straight at him. Is it me who doesn't want to live anymore? You're supporting your mistress, renting an apartment for her, and you won't even let me divorce you? Mark frowned, as if I'd said something utterly unreasonable, his face filled with disappointment. Haven't I told you? She's a single mother, struggling. We should help if we can. You used to be so kind-hearted, Sarah. Why have you become so petty and calculating? An elderly neighbor opened her mouth to intercede, and I just wanted to rip apart his honey-tongued deceit. You're kind-hearted, going to change her light bulbs in the middle of the night. So kind-hearted that you stand guard in her yard every night. You come home every evening reeking of her perfume. You think I don't know why? You're a good man. All right, good enough to volunteer to be a stepfather to her child. Mark's face changed. He quickly covered the child's ears and roared. Are you crazy? Why would you say such things in front of a child? Now you won't even spare a child. I looked at the boy. When he looked at Mark, he was pitiful, but when he turned to me, he scrunched up his face and stuck out his tongue teasingly. He knew I couldn't do anything to him. This child had been successfully trained by Tiffany into a tool, frequently cooperating with her in her charades. I felt no pity, only resentment. In my past life, on my birthday, the boy deliberately poured boiling water on himself, then claimed I did it out of jealousy. Because he was young, everyone, including Mark, believed him. My birthday turned into a condemnation meeting. I was publicly punished for jealousy and bullying a child. Similar incidents happened again and again. Thinking of this, my nose stung, and a tear silently rolled down my cheek. Seeing me cry, Mark froze, his face somewhat sheepish. He took out a handkerchief, intending to wipe my face. I just gave him one last cold look, then turned and left without hesitation. This lifetime, I wanted nothing more to do with this family. Behind me, he called my name a few times. On the third call, the boy timidly said, Daddy Mark. Sure enough, Mark didn't follow. I dragged my suitcase, went to my part-time boss to collect my wages. Then I returned to my parents' house. Coincidentally, my parents had just returned from work. Knowing I had divorced without informing them, my father was furious, rushing outside and returning with a thick stick. He was so angry he could barely speak clearly. How dare you decide on such a huge matter yourself? Do you even consider us your parents anymore? Now go apologize to Mark. Beg him to take you back. He's soft-hearted. Just say a few nice words, and he won't hold it against you. I looked at them, my eyes filled with disappointment. My mother slumped into a chair, looking as if the sky were falling. Such a good husband, and you don't know how to cherish him? Even if he has someone else, it's wiser for you to hold on to the money. Why worry about his heart? No man is a saint. Do you think you'll find someone better after a divorce? People say you fix what's broken, don't throw it away. Relationships are the same. You make such a fuss over a small thing. Who would dare marry you later? I couldn't understand. Why? Was my fate summed up in the two words get married? Without a man, was my life just waiting to die? After a divorce, would I just be dependent on another man? So, Mark, the man I despised to my core, was the best option in my parents' eyes. After a whole day of enduring humiliation, at this moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. Is it not wrong for Mark to keep a mistress? Is everything my fault? Because I married him? Because I was born a girl? He's willing to be a stepfather to someone else's child. So should I go be a stepmother too? Besides, she's the child's biological mother. What do you take me for, Mom and Dad? A daughter who had always been obedient. I talked back for the first time. I thought my parents would understand me, but instead, I was shoved hard, sending a sharp pain through me. It hurt so much that tears welled up. My mother looked at me with dissatisfaction. Now that you're grown up and earning money, you dare to talk back to your parents, right? Without us, you're nothing. We're only doing this for your own good. These days, a woman without a man to protect her is easily taken advantage of. You have such a comfortable life and still don't know contentment. Fate will take back all your blessings. If you don't go apologize to Mark, I'll arrange for you to meet someone new tomorrow. I trembled with anger, refusing to surrender, holding my head high. I want to go north, to Chicago. That night, I was locked in my room. Only when you've come to your senses and given up these fanciful dreams will you be let out. A wave of sorrow washed over me. Can a daughter only get married? I'd struggled to live this long. Was it all just to be someone's wife, someone's mother? To live my whole life for others? Why can't women be like men, have careers, have dreams? I became even more resolute about my plan to go to Chicago. In the middle of the night, I jimmied the old dresser lock with a pair of scissors. Leaving some money on the table, I quietly snuck out of the house. I dozed fitfully all night at the bus terminal, then bought the earliest ticket to Chicago. Throughout the journey, the bus swayed, and I drifted in and out of dreams. I dreamed of my past self, clutching a pillow, crying until I couldn't breathe, and I also dreamed of golden sunlight illuminating a field of grass swaying in the wind. I thought I would be like that grass, seemingly weak but incredibly resilient. Waking up, I looked out the window. The sun was gradually rising, the sky dawning bright. I suddenly knew what I would do in the future. In my past life, though I was criticized for everything I did, there was one thing no one ever complained about: my cooking. Not just because I cooked daily and became proficient, but because when I cooked, I truly found joy in it. I decided to open a small breakfast diner in Chicago. Stepping off the bus, I took a few deep breaths, not out of fear of the unknown, but out of excitement. I was finally starting a new chapter. The old pager in my pocket beeped incessantly. I didn't even look, just turned it off. I knew well, only reproaches awaited me on the other end. Just as I stepped out of the bus station, a small hand tugged at my coat. I turned around. It was a little girl. She was barefoot, her clothes ragged, her hair matted in tangled clumps. She blinked her large eyes and asked me, "Ma'am, my parents don't want me anymore. Can you take me with you?" My heart lurched, and I took a step back. The little girl immediately hung her head, shrinking back in disappointment. I felt both pity and apprehension. The newspapers often wrote about scammers using children to deceive people. I was alone. What if I got into trouble? I took a few steps, but then I glanced back and saw the little girl squatting on the ground, hugging her small self. I couldn't resist and went back to ask. From her story, I learned her family had 4 children. After her youngest sibling was born, she, the third daughter, unable to contribute to labor, was sold. She had desperately escaped, her feet covered in wounds. I felt a pang of sympathy. She blinked her sparkling eyes at me. "Ma'am, I'll learn to earn money. Please let me come with you. I don't eat much. I'm easy to care for." I took her to the police station to verify her story. It turned out to be true. Her parents didn't even bother to show up, just sent a message to the police. "If she's not too much trouble, you can just take her." So, I gave the little girl a new name, Lily Miller, hoping she would always wear a smile as bright as the morning sun. I took Lily to buy new shoes. Her little eyes darted around, incredibly adorable. Afterward, we found a small room in a boarding house to stay in temporarily. For 3 days, I searched for a commercial space. Lily was like a little kitten, quiet but always appearing by my side when called. Finally, I managed to rent a small space near a factory. It was small but adequate. However, because it was so close to the factory, the landlord charged a rather high rent, making my wallet ache. The very first day I took possession of the shop, I started cleaning it from top to bottom. Lily, holding a small cloth, wiped here and there, incredibly well behaved. We finished cleaning up very quickly. The day before the grand opening, I was learning to braid Lily's hair. In my past life, my household was full of boys. Now, suddenly having a daughter, I was all thumbs. Just then, an old neighbor from my hometown called. "Sarah, how are you doing in Chicago? Is everything okay?" You wouldn't believe it, that Tiffany Bell didn't just have Mark Johnson as a lover. Mark got drunk and went to her place, only to find another man, well, doing unspeakable things in her apartment. And that kid of hers was even acting as a lookout. The whole family is shameless. Mark tried to fight the other guy and got sued, had to pay out everything he had. He's a lost cause. After that, he started thinking about you, went back to our town looking for you, couldn't find you, and went crazy, smashing things in your old place. Your dad got so mad he beat him up and made him pay for the damages. He didn't have a cent to his name. Now he can't even afford the rent on that attic apartment and is demanding you pay him back for the appliances. What a disgusting, ungrateful wretch. I just smiled faintly, continuing to braid Lily's hair. Hearing that Mark was not doing well, I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected, only a sense of calm. I just wanted to live peacefully with Lily. But while my life was peaceful, some people didn't want to let me be. On the opening day of the breakfast diner, I received several calls from unknown numbers. But I was needing dough and couldn't answer. Lily answered one and turned to me. The person on the other end didn't say anything. I paid it no mind. After preparing a batch of breakfast burritos, Lily and I sat waiting for customers. Many people passed by, but no one stopped. I was wondering what the problem was. Suddenly, Lily jumped off her chair and, mustering all her courage, shouted, "Hot breakfast burritos here. Delicious and filling. Eat our burritos, feel great all day." Her childish voice and unevenly braided pigtails made Lily even more adorable. The factory workers passing by stopped curiously, bending down to ask, "Are they really that good?" The little girl nodded vigorously, leading them over to buy some. Gradually, we had a fairly smooth start. After a few busy hours, the workers went on their shift, and Lily and I took a break. She handed me a glass of water. Just as I was about to take it, a large, rough hand snatched the glass, splashing water everywhere. A cold voice spoke. It was Mark. He gripped my hand tightly. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't break free. "Did you divorce me for this child?" I suspected it. "You kept picking fights with me over trivial things. Turns out you were secretly having a child with someone else. Where's the baby's daddy? For old time's sake, tell him to come out. I'll help you vet him." I almost burst out laughing. Mark's audacity was truly something, thinking everyone was as despicable as him. Without hesitation, I grabbed the nearby rolling pin and slammed it onto his hand. Mark yelped in pain and let go. "You dare hit me for your lover?" All these years I supported you were a waste. I suddenly remembered, when we first fell in love, Mark had been good to me. He picked flowers, bought me pastries. When I was sick, he stayed up all night to take me to the hospital. But ever since Tiffany got divorced, everything changed. Mark returned to his old flame, and I became a parasite. In his eyes, I had no value left. I took a deep breath and said coolly, "Don't assume everyone is as filthy as you. I still have some morals." And another thing, if anyone was supporting anyone, it was me supporting you and Tiffany. That measly salary of yours, feeding and clothing her and her son, what was left for our family? My sarcasm seemed to make Mark's face light up, as if he believed I was still jealous, still in love. Are you jealous? What's the big deal? Why hold on to it? Come back with me, and we'll pretend none of this happened. He then grabbed my hand, trying to pull me away. Suddenly, Lily rushed forward, hugged his leg, and bit down hard. "Don't bully my mom." The word mom made Mark freeze, his eyes wide, about to grab her. I quickly pulled Lily behind me, my eyes wary, and grabbed a broom. "Get out. If you don't get out, I'll show you." Workers finishing their shifts were trickling back. The crowd was growing. Curious eyes were fixed on us. Mark, having lost face, finally left in a huff. I breathed a sigh of relief, put Lily down, and checked her all over. "You scared mommy to death. Next time something like this happens, stay far away, okay?" Lily giggled, waving her arms and legs, her eyes bright. "I can protect mommy." For several days, I didn't see Mark. That was good. It saved me the energy of arguing with him. My breakfast diner became increasingly prosperous. The same amount of food that used to take until afternoon to sell out was now nearly gone by mid-morning. Many customers Lily had attracted became regulars. They even brought friends, complaining that the menu was a bit limited and they were getting tired of the same things. I thought carefully and decided to buy more ingredients to make oatmeal and grits. During that time, I got to know Tom Davis. He frequented my diner and was a kind, honest man. Whenever the delivery truck arrived, he would help me carry things. Over time, he and Lily also became close, and he often brought her candy. "Thank you so much, Tom. I feel bad always troubling you. From now on, please don't pay for your breakfast burritos," I said to him with a smile. He froze for a few seconds, then shyly looked down, continuing to mold a piece of dough for Lily. It's what I should do. Things girls liked often required dexterity, and I, having been clumsy my whole life, wasn't as skilled as Tom. I had just brought out a bag of hot meat-filled pastries, intending to give them to Tom to take home, when suddenly a fist flew out. The punch was so hard that Tom stumbled and fell. "You dare hit on my wife? Have you looked in the mirror lately? So now you're not even hiding it, flaunting your affair in public. When did you two have a kid?" I stared in shock at the newcomer. It was Mark. I didn't know where he'd been sleeping rough these past few days. His beard was unkempt, his clothes wrinkled, and he reeked of stale cigarettes and alcohol, making people wrinkle their noses. His appearance instantly dropped the surrounding atmosphere to freezing. I immediately pushed him away, helped Tom up, and then glared at Mark without restraint. "What's gotten into you now? If you don't have a job, go find one. Don't come here every few days making a scene. I don't have time to play along with you." I kept reminding myself. I was no longer the 70-year-old woman trapped in the Johnson house, not the penniless housewife. Now I had my own little diner. I had Lily. I had the ability to fight back. Thinking this, my hands stopped shaking, and my voice was full of confidence. Mark, far from getting angry, just sneered, his eyes malicious. "You're busy. Is it because you have to raise your daughter and charm men? I really misjudged you. I used to think you weren't that kind of person, but now I see, you're really something. You've got a child, you've got a lover. Are you planning to remarry soon? Sarah Miller, you're quite the operator." I stared into his eyes, this relentless entanglement exhausting me. "There's no lover and no remarriage. I'm not like you, unable to live without someone by my side. I work hard to earn money, just so I don't have to rely on a man. Besides, you were never my support." Perhaps the resolve in my eyes made him realize that the bird in his cage had long flown away, no longer captive. He also began to realize that this time I wasn't joking. I truly wanted to break free. Mark's expression softened a bit, his voice lowered, even a little hesitant. He took my hand. "Did I make you unhappy? Can I apologize? That day I hit you. I didn't mean to. I was just so angry because you really wanted to leave me. We've been together for so long. You know I can't live without you." As for Tiffany, it was really just because I was grateful for her past help, and she was alone with a young child. I was just helping out. It's not what you think. If you come home with me, I promise to cut ties completely, no more contact. Can you trust me one more time? I suddenly recalled every detail of our relationship. At first, Mark was grateful to me for taking care of him, for building our home. He used to pity my chapped hands from washing clothes in winter, and he would apply lotion for me. When I came back from selling vegetables early in the morning, he would have hot oatmeal ready. But gradually, all of it became a given in his eyes. He got used to having breakfast every morning. He got used to clothes being washed, dried, and folded when he tossed them out. Mark no longer said, "I love you," even believing there was no love left between us, only familial affection. He said he couldn't live without me. I thought, it's more like he can't live without a free maid. Because the person he always knew how to care about was never me. It was Tiffany. In his eyes, I had become someone who didn't need to rely on anyone. I coldly pried his fingers off mine, one by one. "Mark, it's too late. Between us, there's long been no possibility. You're greedy. You wanted both a delicate flower like Tiffany and a workhorse like me to manage every aspect of your life. Even without Tiffany, how long do you think we would have lasted?" Hearing that, Mark faltered, a flicker of sadness in his expression. But I truly didn't understand what he was sad about. I had already given him and Tiffany what they wanted. What was he doing here putting on a show? After Mark left looking dejected, only a chaotic scene remained. Overturned chairs, shattered plates. I had to bend down and clean it up bit by bit. I turned to see Lily seriously sweeping with a small broom. Tom also quietly helped rearrange the tables and chairs. The diner gradually returned to its tidy state. Before Tom left, I handed him an envelope with some money as a thank you. "I'm so sorry you had to witness that today, Tom." Tom shook his head, refusing to take it. I insisted he stay for a meal as a way of repaying him. After the meal, he took the dishes to the kitchen to wash, then hesitantly looked up at me. "Miss Sarah, I know it's not easy for you raising Lily alone. If that man comes back to cause trouble, having a man in the house might offer more protection for you and Lily. What do you think?" I paused for a few seconds before I understood. Tom was confessing his feelings. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw two little pigtails peeking in from the window. I chuckled and looked directly at Tom. Between a man and a woman, there isn't only romantic love. Friendship is also very precious. You're a very good person, Tom. I believe you'll find someone worthy, someone to walk alongside. As for me, right now, I just want to focus on Lily and this diner. Tom was an intelligent man. Understanding the firmness in my words, he didn't press further. That evening, Lily seemed unhappy and wouldn't sleep with me. I thought it was because Mark had scared her. After much coaxing, she buried her head in her pillow and mumbled, "Mommy, did you turn down Uncle Tom because of me? Am I making you tired?" I was startled to realize she was blaming herself for my refusal of Tom. I hugged her, my heart aching. Due to her past experiences, Lily was far too mature for her age, always overthinking unnecessary things. I gently laid her down and soothed her. "No, sweetie. Mommy just doesn't want to get married." Lily peeked out curiously. "Why?" "My previous mommy said girls have to get married." I looked straight into her eyes. "When your previous mommy said that, did it make you happy?" Lily thought for a moment and shook her head. I explained softly, "Marriage isn't a mandatory path. You can choose to walk with someone, or you can choose to walk alone. As long as you like it, you can do anything. Marriage has its good points. Having a partner can lighten the load. But there will also be bumps along the way. Walking alone can be very tiring sometimes, but knowing how to walk alone is also something to be very proud of." Lily nodded, half understanding, and soon fell asleep. I gazed at her sleeping face. This was the decision I would never regret in my life. She was a gift from heaven. And so, we spent another 6 months together. Tom still dropped by occasionally to help, and later met a wonderful woman. I was genuinely happy for him. My diner's menu became more diverse, and customers grew more numerous. I started thinking bigger. I contacted my old friends and neighbors from back home, telling them I wanted to open a chain of diners, to cater meals for the entire factory, but I was short-staffed. Without a second thought, they packed their bags and came to help me. I was moved beyond words. I started another busy period, choosing new locations, selecting new dishes. I put my heart into everything. But lately, I always felt like someone was secretly watching me and quietly doing things for me. For example, the trash cans in front of the diner were always clean. A space I inquired about would already have the deposit paid by someone, or sometimes a new, seasonally appropriate outfit would be delivered for me. I knew who it was, but I didn't intend to pay it any mind. Some things are best left to time. Caring too much only brings more trouble. On the opening day of the new diner, there was a small celebration. Mark, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, appeared, dressed very neatly. Lily scowled, about to shoo him away, but he gently patted her head. I couldn't tell if it was clarity or desolation in his eyes. "Make your mom happy," he said to Lily. "I can't do that anymore, so I'm counting on you." Lily pouted, making a face. "She's my mom. Of course, I'll protect her." Mark chuckled, walked over, and handed me a thick envelope. "I used to think I could have better. So even though life wasn't bad, I always compared you to others. I'm sorry. I never cared about your feelings, only chasing youthful regrets. You're doing very well now. You're strong, You shouldn't be tied down by anyone. Your choice was right. It's just a pity that I couldn't let go. This money is what you deserve. Take it. I didn't refuse this time. He was right. If not for my contributions, then for my suffering. This was my due. Watching him stumble away, I turned, took Lily's hand, and we continued our opening celebration. People around applauded and congratulated us. Lily, startled by a popping balloon, covered her ears and ran around. Only then did she look like a child. Usually, she was too composed, which made anyone who saw her feel a pang of sympathy. And so, another year passed peacefully. My parents also came to visit. Initially, they weren't fond of Lily, but she was so well-behaved, pouring tea, giving back rubs, that she eventually won them over. They called her sweet granddaughter all day long. I also heard from acquaintances that after leaving me, Mark drank heavily day and night, even calling my name in his dreams. Until one winter night, he was found frozen to death on the street. I no longer concerned myself with that, nor did I wonder if our savings would have been enough for him to live decently, because that was his choice. At this moment, I was squatting in front of Lily, helping her with her backpack. I had spent the past year navigating bureaucracy to get her legal guardianship papers, so we could officially be mother and daughter. Now, she could finally go to school like other children. Lily still hesitated. "Mommy, please don't spend so much money on me." I chuckled and gently tapped her head. "I earn money to spend on you. When you go to school and earn a lot of money, you can spend it on me, okay?" She frowned, thought for a moment, and finally nodded. That day, I walked her to school, hand in hand. The sunlight shone on the new school sign, on her tilted face, making the fine hairs on her cheeks glisten. I watched her skipping figure run off and smiled contentedly. The picture of our future had completely unfolded.